Nominating committee met this morning because of the resignation of Ms. Baker, our current vice chair. So that's why we have to have another nomination committee. The committee unanimously approved a slate of officers for this board to approve. Before I do that, actually, I would like to publicly comment on Ms. Baker. She just has done an outstanding job for us. Outstanding board member, provide a lot of legal perspective to this board. She will be missed, but I think she's doing what she truly enjoys, being appointed to be a judge. So we are happy for her, but at the same time, this board will miss her tremendously. But at the same time, we need to have a new vice chair, of course. So the following approved or recommended candidate officer will be Mr. Bai will serve as our vice chair, and Sam Kanapan will be our new secretary. I make a motion to approve this officer. Any second? Second. Any further comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Let's go to licensing committee. 14, Policy Advisory Opinion Committee. Mr. Wallet.
Mr. Chairman, the Policy Advisory Opinion Committee had a meeting, what seems now like a long time ago, but it was we had a very good discussion. The one thing that I would mention is that we do have a proposal on the opinion number 39, which is on farm energy audits. We've had a series of outreach and input from the requester, and appreciate Dr. Summers serving as the liaison to that committee. We've looked at the content of that, and that comes to us for approval today to post for comment. And it was the unanimous recommendation of our committee to post policy opinion number 39 for comment. That's the recommendation of the committee.
Anyone can second this motion? Second. Further questions? Comment? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
The only other thing that I'll just give a brief update on is we did have a meeting in early November, outreach to utilities concerning utility exemptions. We met with the electric and gas utilities and are scheduling a subsequent meeting in the spring sometime with telephony, cable, internet providers, and we're beginning that dialogue. I thought we had a very healthy discussion in that meeting, and I'm encouraged at the direction it's heading. So,
yes, awesome, wonderful.
That's our report.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Item number 15 and Enforcement Committee.
Yes, Chairman. I'd like CW and Morgan, please come. We had a very good meeting, and CW, if you want to brief some things, and then Mr. Morgan.
Correct. Yeah. And the enforcement committee, we hadn't had an enforcement committee meeting in some time, and at the request of Dr. Wong, we reconvened that this morning. And as part of that effort, I provided a C&E compliance and enforcement report, kind of a status of where things are and what's been going on, and that is in that those exhibits. But also included there was a 2-year review of our sanction consistency, and that's something we've done before. Some of the board members may recall the last time we did that. We usually did it in 2-year increments, and it's basically to show where our sanctions are for each of our cases that we've closed over the last 2 years. So those graphs are there, and by the way, pose that question to all of you. If any of you have any questions about any one of those, give me a call, talk to me after the meeting or whatever, and we can talk about them in specifics if you so choose. But those are there for the committee and the board to observe and see where things are in relation to where we've been.
Thank you very much.
I had an opportunity to present the traditional 3 reports that the staff attorney always presents, which is the SOA litigation report, which is an update on all the current cases that we are handling before the SOA docket, the suits against the board, which are lawsuits that are filed against us, which there was only, all those are pretty much in appeal, and then also our court cases that we are pursuing injunctions against unlicensed or people who have been revoked that continue to practice. And also presented for recommendation of approval a final board order regarding a SOA case involving an individual who practiced without a license.
Any question to Morgan about those cases?
We recommend to the board to approve the motion declared for Rosser Milton, final order.
Okay, so you need to summarize this case for the board, please.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
The SOA case. He wants to go into the SOA case.
Okay, that was what I had mentioned earlier, is the individual who practiced without a license on a property he owned, but the city building officials of the location where he was wanted a professional engineer because there was structural issues to the commercial property.
Sorry.
Okay, that wasn't me.
The robots disagree.
Okay,
I'm not sure what you said.
But someone knows. Don't worry, he knows.
okay.
Be clear.
It's really nice.
So instead of hiring a professional engineer, he submitted his own engineering type report, and that's what he entitled it, engineering type report, addressing the structural concerns the city had raised, and signed it as a private engineer. And the city returned like that we need a real professional engineer to do it, and he refused. The city referred the case to us. We tried to get him to stop, and he says that he doesn't need a license, and he's kind of adamant about it till today, and probably from the future onward. Wow. But it was a default. He didn't show at the hearing, but the ALJ, Beth Bierman, did file a default proposal for decision, which in essence admits all our findings of fact as true. He filed exceptions, which is he has a right to do, but it's unusual since he didn't bother to show at the hearing to then file exceptions. And the ALJ Bierman denied all of them because they lacked merit. And if you read them, they're all available on your. He's pro se, and his legal arguments are questionable, to say the least. And so I make the motion. So that's.
And just to add to what Morgan was saying, all the pleadings and motions that were filed by Mr. Melton and the transcript of the SOA hearing were provided to the committee or board members.
Okay.
And so the ultimate prayer, that's what they call it, finding was a cease and desist, a $3,900 administrative penalty, and $359.09 in court and investigative costs were awarded.
That's it. Anyway.
So the motion would be to approve the
Final order, yeah, that's right.
Any other questions?
So anybody care to make the motion first? Make the motion first. Okay.
I move to approve the final order.
I second it. You will second. Okay. Further question, comment on this case? The final order? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I have a question for Megan. Whatever happened to Mr. Doss?
Okay, hold on. He is still being appealed, the case. His oral argument was denied, but he still has the opportunity to file his appellate brief. And so the AG and him, that's in their time frame right now. So oral argument was denied, but appellate briefs are still being reviewed and filed. So.
And he's not practicing, is he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He's still qualified to practice.
But under...
He's met his sanctions. He's paid his dues, and in that regard. So this is he's just appealing the whole process. So.
Okay. Questions to CW and Morgan? Sam, you have any further?
No.
Adam, thank you so much. Let's go to item 16, General Issue Committee. Mr. Greer.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. The committee did meet this morning. I think David's going to get into details. Two, I guess, kind of broader topics for discussion. One's around some potential rule adoptions that really driven by legislative changes, and then secondly, regarding our 4-year rule review. Is that a quadrennial? Quadrennial. That's what I meant to say. Rule review. So if it's all right, yeah. I'll ask Mr. Howe to lead us through those two bodies of work, please.
The first, as Mr. Greer mentioned, the first thing is to adopt rules that were posted. This is similar to the other committee that we talked to, the licensing committee. When we had legislative changes, we posted the rules for comment. Got no comments. We actually did get 2 comments related to the professional fee repeal that were just thank yous, but that was it. No negative comments, and so all those rules, and I'll go ahead and list them: 133.81, 133.87, 133.97, 137.7, 137.9, 137.11, 137.13, 137.19, 131.37, and 131.85 are all up for adoption with no changes from what was proposed and posted for comment.
You want to approve the whole thing?
Yes, Mr.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The committee unanimously approved or recommended to the board that we adopt those rule changes, and my motion would be that the board adopt the rule changes as outlined by Mr. Howe.
Okay. Anyone care to second this motion? Second. Further question, comments to adopting all these rules here? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next thing that Mr. Greer mentioned was the 4-year rule review, the quadrennial review that we're going to be undertaking in the next year. We're going to publish in the Register or post with the Texas Register the schedule, which is that we're going to be reviewing them in the next year. We will be back to the board and the committee to approve opening the rules for comments, which we have to do as far as our review goes. In the meantime, we're going to do a staff review, and then whatever changes will come back to the board for the next level in May.
Okay.
That's just an announcement of the plan.
Mr. Chairman, and I paraphrase that this first is just a post that this is coming,
right,
without any sort of action required. So I would move that that we allow staff to move forward with the posting of the notice of the quadrennial rule review. Did I say that right?
Okay. Motion has been made and second. Any further questions? Comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Chairman, that concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's go to Lance. That's all your time.
I've got 4 minutes before turkey. I'll hurry.
3 minutes.
3 minutes before turkey. Essentially, my activity report has also included all the different meetings and various activities that have been going on. If you have any questions, let me know. Moving on then, strategic planning. There's no exhibit for this one, but I just want to give an update that all our teams from the strategic planning that the board participated in and all the staff participated in are launched. All the teams are working. One of the big activities from the board was visibility, and one of the first actions that we're undertaking there is developing the Future Engineers Advisory Committee, which was essentially the young engineers. Well, we didn't use the word young. But what we've done is we've sent out requests to a random, it's been a random group, but it's over 3,000 people we've invited. The format of the committee will be 15 people, new engineers. 5 of them would be engineers licensed within the last 2 years. 5 of them would be EITs in the last 2 years. And then the third group would be EITs in the last 3 to 4 years. So we have people who just finished the FE, people who are about to get licensed, people who just became licensed. The goal of this would be to get together an advisory committee of recent licensees who've gone through that experience and get their opinion on the various things the board does, our communication style, content, how to get licensed, what questions do they have, why are people not getting licensed, what's going on in that environment. And I think that's a voice that we hear periodically, we hear intermittently, but I don't think we've heard in any sort of structured way. So we've basically, there's an application form that they would fill out. We've asked a couple basic questions. David and I will go through those and select the people, get approval from the chairman on the folks who want to invite, and hopefully in the spring I'll bring them in for a day-long kind of workshop, give them a background of the board, and then get some input from what's going on. I think as we go through the year, there'll be a great opportunity to teleconference or even just send out questionnaires. What do you think about this? Or I made a modification to that. But get that opinion. NCAAS is doing something similar with their emerging leaders, and Texas will be the first state to do that. NCAAS is very excited and engaged in us doing that too, and they want us to share, get other states to do it. So I think it's a good thing, and I talked to the chairman about it before we even kicked it off. So we'll see what happens, and then, of course, if we need to modify it, we'll modify it. But we want to get a good cross-section geographically, gender, discipline, all those things to get folks to talk about what they think about licensure.
You have questions?
Yes. I think it's a grand opportunity for some TxDOT folks to be involved.
Oh, yeah. We'll send requests to them.
I'm not sure if you've had any response from TxDOT folks, or if there was, out of that random selection, there was...
That's completely hard to say, but I'd be happy to send it to you if you want to share it with some folks. We had it open.
We would, but I think you have a deadline coming up, right?
We did, but we set the deadline so people would respond. It's not hard and fast by any rule. We set it for tomorrow. But we could extend it to Monday.
Well, TxDOT, we extend it there.
Anyway, no, I'm happy to keep the door open a little longer to get. I mean, I think someone from TxDOT would be helpful. Obviously, if we get 200, we're probably going to pick.
Some parts of TxDOT grapevine move very well. Some parts don't move.
Yeah, and to be honest, that we have 9,000 EITs or 10,000 EITs, something like that. So we sent it to some subset that was purely random. So I might have hit a TxDOT person, but I might not have. So I'll send something like that.
We'll make sure that you will get some invitation. Okay.
Thank you.
Our question on this Future Engineers Committee. Let's try to understand millennials.
Yes, trying to understand people who are. I can speculate what a 23-year-old thinks, but I'm better with like 12-year-olds. I know that's how my wife thinks. I think. Next one is an item I just wanted to include in here to pass along to you. It's NCAAS each year puts out a request for awards at the annual meeting. The letter's in here, the request is in here. Feel free to contact NCAAS directly or us, and we can do the same kind of thing, put together a package if you have anybody that you think we should recommend for recognition at NCAAS annual meeting. The next thing is our outreach report. This is where we include our numbers in there. If you, I believe, hit the refresh, nonetheless, the numbers are in here, as David mentioned earlier. In 14, we did almost 15,000 people, and last year we did almost 20,000, over 19,000 people we talked to. The webinars have been a massive success. That we are to the point of now we fill up the first two within hours or a day. People are asking for the webinar registration before it actually goes online now, and so it's kind of like use a goofy analogy, but it's kind of like a rock concert. People are in line to sign up. The first one will fill up in hours before the first day's over. It's weird. The tickets get sold out fast. The seats go quick. We start adding shows, if you want to extend the analogy. We've gotten into the fourth one before. We've gone into 2 days and a fourth episode. We give one of them after hours at 6 o'clock, and people will sign up and fill these things up. So in one set of 2-day things, we're talking over 3,000 people. And so, it's not maybe as entertaining as a rock concert, but we're feeling pretty small, a pretty good-sized venue. And to come in here, me, David, CW, and Robert.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. See,
wow, it will be interesting.
I will say this too, and it's and I've said it before, but it's a great opportunity if you look at the demographics of people that are responding. There's Texas engineers outside of Texas that really appreciate being able to hear that, and we get engineers logging in from Africa in the middle of the night and stuff like that. Guys that are over in the Middle East working for companies so apparently people like this opportunity, are asking for it, and they want more. One of our survey responses was to provide some more and different ones. maybe scenario-based, so we'll be sending out some things as part of our visibility thing on what would you like to have for outreach, and that's another opportunity for the future engineers, is what speaks to different groups. So it's a great opportunity. We're looking to expand how we do it a little bit. We've got a new webcam, so we're going to maybe add a little more multimedia to the thing. At one part it seems cheesy. You get to listen to me and David and CW and Robert speak, but apparently
Flash pods, maybe.
yeah, we're going to the lighting, and that's the next deal. Is
Can I get a selfie?
I wouldn't mind
charging for
approving-
autographs and stuff.
I wouldn't mind approving the purchase of Rock Band on PlayStation and all the equipment.
Xbox One for the office.
Oh my goodness, man.
Anyway, the long and short of it is outreach is
Already in the budget. You just didn't.
So who say engineer is boring? Come on.
A couple other things just to let you know. I think it's in here. We had a TML booth. Was well attended, and Steam Day in Waco was good. If you want to mention anything about that.
Yes, Steam Day in Waco is something they've been doing for a few years, and it's just for kids. It's middle school and high school kids, and we participated in that. We had a booth and just kind of talked to them about engineering in general, not specifically, licensure. Obviously, they're too young for that, but we were just talking to them about what engineers do, and we took some staff, and it was a good event. We talked to several hundred kids.
Good.
And STEAM is STEM with architecture.
Right.
It can also be listed as art. It depends on the event.
In theirs, it was
really?
architecture.
Yeah.
So yes.
There's architecture, right?
Yeah.
That one's architecture. I've seen
That
Steam
one
with an A for art.
Art.
The last one is the kudos I included here, and this is an opportunity once again. When I was joking about the webinars, it's the four of us, but there's actually other people. George is set in on them, and people are traveling all around the state all the time. Cliff, Rick, Val, George, tons of people go around all the time and speak all over the state. Board members, emeritus members speak regularly. So that 20,000 is not just a couple of us. It's everybody taking their time and their effort to do that, and so we appreciate the opportunities to do it. So once again, just keep that thing going, and I think people really like hearing from everybody. So the kudos in here are for the feedback that we solicit, and I think people like it. So you can read through them when you get a chance. But I want to thank the team for traveling all over the place.
That's a great thing. Thank you so much.
One of the last items that was not listed on here, but it was from the licensing committee. I just wanted to mention. Well, there's an EPE, an NCSS. I'm going to get all acronym on people. EPE, the Examination for Professional Engineers Survey. Some of you may have received individual, and I think I corresponded to hold up and don't respond.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody remember getting this thing? If you did, good. If you responded already, that's fine too. If you haven't, that's fine. The licensing committee, we discussed the content of the survey, and I believe the committee recommended that I'll fill it out on behalf of the board. I did check with NCSS. They really want the voice of one board, unless there's dissension, and then multiples is fine. The question at hand was whether they should develop a professional practice exam that is separate from the FE and PE exam. If so, why would you like to have one? And then what would you use it for? This is exploratory in nature from my understanding. It's a committee's charge to look at this, which would then possibly move up, etc. So it doesn't mean build it tomorrow. It doesn't mean spend the money. It's what do you think? So we had a pretty good discussion about that for the time we had yesterday. We already do ethics training. When I say professional practice, it's not the technical aspects of engineering. It would be things related to budgeting, finance, business, things like that. Maybe an ethical thing, but it would be on a national level. It would be a national type exam. We already do things like that with licensure. We'd have a state-specific one where you have to read our law and rules and answer some scenarios in relationship to Texas things. For continuing ed, we have 1 hour of ethics that every PE has to do already. And as we've seen from licensing and enforcement, we send people to Texas Tech for any number of courses to that aspect. So we've kind of got tools we've developed or implemented to cover ethical issues across those different parts of our spectrum. So NCSS is looking to build one of these things, possibly. I believe it's been, Govind brought this up, and I recall the same. It gets brought up every couple of years. It has not gotten legs much so far. But they're asking, do you think we ought to give it a shot again? And what would the board use it? And what would they use it for? So to paraphrase what I think we talked about yesterday, one of the feelings was that if it existed, we would consider possibly using it, most likely in a continuing ed context. In other words, if you took the test, we could give you some points for it. But I don't know, the feeling was to require it for licensure or require it in any other way. It would for enforcement, for example, you could make them go take the test, but my personal Lance Kinney opinion is I believe that you gain more out of an educational type experience than an assessment.
Like
the
our
assessment
test.
implies learning,
Yeah.
but the ethics course is it's more rigorous, I believe. So that was my opinion added on top of what I believe the committee conversation was, and I just wanted to throw that out there. If that was the way you'd like me to fill out the survey to NCWS.
And the committee was supportive of the opinion of Mr. Kinney, Dr. Kinney. So we said, just report that to the board and answer. And if everybody's okay with it, answer for us. Answer the survey for us. We don't want anything mandatory at this time. There were other opinions. I don't know if board emeritus members want to. It's up to you. We need to find Mr. Chairman, but
Well, that's good that we have some sort of understanding in the licensing committee and in the board, at the board level as well. That's good.
Yes.
At the same time, this is a survey sent to all the board members. Any board member feel like they want to do anything in terms of reply, we don't have any problem with that actually.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't have any problem. But I think we will authorize Lance to count. At least we will have some sort of response. So why don't you fill that out? At least we have one response, okay? At least one. But any board member feel like he or she like really have other input, please feel free to do so. This is a survey.
Does that direction sound the way?
It's okay?
yes.
That concludes my report.
Concurrence. Yeah.
All right, that's it? You are done?
I'm
All
done.
right, wonderful. Let's get CW here.
Okay. Item number 19, I'm sorry. We have one agreed board order, which resulted from an informal conference we had, and Mr. Womack was the board member at that particular informal conference, and we have a signed agreed board order as a result of that meeting, and that is up for your approval.
All right. Anyone care to make a motion to approve this board
We
order?
approve.
Anyone care to second?
I go.
And
Second.
before you vote, just going to say that
Sure.
the investigator is here, and of course our attorney's here. We can pull any case and talk about those individually if you so choose, but
Wonderful, thank
I
you.
wanted to point that out.
Further question, comments on this case? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Abstain, yes, okay, because of the informal conference. Yes, one abstain. Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay. Item number 20 has to do with consent orders, in which case we've performed the investigations. Again, the investigators are here for if we want to pull any particular case out, but we have got signed consent orders based on the sanction that we proposed to them. And items 1 through 15 are the consent orders that are up for approval. And again, we've got the investigators here if you want to pull any particular one.
Okay, anyone can make a motion to approve 1 through 15?
I will so move.
Anyone second?
I second that.
Second. And further question, comments on any cases? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
That's it. Wow. Cool. Wonderful.
10 minutes.
All right. Item 23.